All right. So Nana, before you even tell us what you found when you went to, Sewua, I'd like for our listeners to listen to what the presidential advisor on health said at Trader.
This is a huge employment opportunity. There are about 101 district hospitals, 7 regional hospitals. We employ, even a typical district hospital like this, the total number of people that we employ here will be more than 100. So if you multiply 100 by this, so they will be reassured. We are even giving employment. This year we have given a financial clearance for people to be employed, and they are going to be employed. So every one of them will get employed. But what is interesting to me is that apart from the employment of the health workers and everything, the other employment which people can be selling here, and also where we are standing is what you call the commerce area. So food will be served here for people who are coming here. So somebody can come here, get a place, and then put something here and then sell it from the country here. And then people from other part of the country will be working here. So this is how it is. So you should be assured that once hospitals increase, by all means, we are going to get employment for first health workers, and then non-health workers, and also other people who will get work to do from one day or the other. And we don't shy away from terminating the contract. That's why we have terminated some contracts.
Right, so that was Dr. Anthony Siansari there. And so Nana, like I was saying a while ago, you took a trip to Sewua Hospital. What can you tell us about the facility as we speak? What shape is it in?
So David, the Sewua Hospital itself, it's complete. The various technical works have been done. The buildings itself individually are completed, and the information that I have is that all installations or equipment have been installed at the Sewua Government Hospital. Everything is complete and it's ready for use. But the only challenge is that there is difficulty in accessing the road. According to the Minister for Health, the last time he visited the installation or the construction, he said that there are some client obligations that the government will have to fulfill. And it includes, one, providing access, good roads to the hospital to ensure that it's easily accessible by people or who visit this area or the hospital for medical treatment. And secondly, there is difficulty with power. So there is need for some power facilities to be constructed there. I remember somewhere last year, I visited this same, or 2 years ago rather, I visited this same facility with the president. And these two issues came up. At that time, the contractors were in advanced stage of completing this structure. So these issues came up. The president, at that instance, referred this matter to the Ministry of Energy to ensure that the source of power is well catered for, and also told other authorities that they should ensure that the road to this area has been fixed. So when the Minister for Health also visited the area early this year, same concerns were raised, and he also assured that these challenges will be faced. So after government came to inspect the Agenda 111 project at Trede, we also decided to take a look at these other facilities to find the conditions in which they are and whether these roads are being fixed. These are the challenges that is restraining government from opening up the hospital for operation, whether they are fixed. When we went there are two routes to the hospital. One, the Fiasi route, and secondly, there's also one route from Prabong through to the Sewua town itself, and you proceed to the hospital. So we went in by the Prabong area. So when you go through the Prabong area through to Sewua, you realize that most of the drains have been fixed. And from the information that I've been gathering, they were fixed years back. It's been more than 5 years when the drains were fixed in anticipation for tarring of the road. But unfortunately, though the drains and bridges are all constructed, we are yet to see any, the road being tarred or asphalted for easy access to the hospital. When you get to the Sewua township itself, you realize that there were some already existing asphalt which was taken away or graded or milled for the proper construction itself. But unfortunately, after the road was milled, the contractor just packed out of the site. The information that I've been gathering with the people around is that whenever it rains, it's very difficult to maneuver your way, or it takes drivers with a lot of expertise to be able to, meander their way through the potholes that have been developed in this area. So it's very difficult to access the road using the Prabon route. It's very difficult to access the hospital using the Prabon route. When you get closer to the hospital, it's a developing site, a new site. So the roads there are very poor, very, very poor. It's the one that is even within the Prabon area, because normally the contractor comes and grade the road. It's to some extent it's better than the road that leaves the hospital. It's of about 300 or 500 kilometers from the 500 meters from the road. It's very, very, very bad. Even with a pickup truck in which we went, it was very difficult for us to go through the gullies and the erosion that have been developed on the road to get access to the hospital. So from there, we decided to use the other route out of the hospital. That's the Feyase route, through connecting to Wisconsin. Then you get into the Feyase main road, then you join back to Kumasi, and that route is very, very, very poor as well. It's not different from what we saw at the other end of the road. That's the Prabon area. This one is very muddy, and some areas were very mushy. And at a point, the driver had to engage the four-wheel drive gear to maneuver his way through the muddy and mushy areas at the Feyase route of the road. I had a conversation with some people who operate a local taxi station in the area, and they tell me that months back the contractor had come back, and he also made some drains in anticipation of asphalt overlay. At the time that the contractor came, the Wisconsin University, which is located in the area, had had developed the road to a point. They had asphalted the road, but because of standard practice, they had to take away the asphalt and allow the contractor who has been given this work to go ahead and do his work. But unfortunately, after this asphalt that was done by the school was taken off, the contractor have also abandoned the job. So now there's no site of work done, with no site of work being done in the area. There are no contractors there. About 4 months ago, the contractor abandoned site. So to the people, it doesn't look like government sees the opening of, or the operationalization of this hospital as a priority. It's no priority to the government, even though lots of money have been sunk into the hospital, constructed the various buildings, and also put in equipment. It looks like there's no agency in government to ensure that this particular project is operationalized. Mind you, when it's completed and in operation, it will be the third largest facility in the Ashanti region. It's supposed to be the biggest after the Aferi military hospital, which is also not in operation yet. So that's why there's a lot of pressure on the Kompanoche teaching hospital. A lot of people were looking up to the operationalization of the Sewua regional hospital, but unfortunately, due to poor roads and also difficulty with power supply, the hospital is yet to be operationalized.
Well, I'm happy that, Nanaya, you remember vividly that you've been there a couple of times, because I remember somewhere in 2021, you were...
Can you please repeat your question?
I'm saying that I'm happy that you recall that this is not the first time you've taken a trip to the Sewua hospital, because somewhere in 2021, you were in the company of the regional minister and you took a tour at the facility. Again, you worked with the minority MPs on the Parliamentary and Select Committee on Health. You also went there. Now, looking at the facility itself, would you say that it is at the mercy of the weather and it is deteriorating? Did you see the hospital? What state or shape is it in?
So, David, unfortunately, I couldn't go into the hospital. But from the outside, I could see that, for instance, the doctor's flats, which had been constructed, I could see the paint are peeling off. Even before it's used, some of the paints is gradually wearing off. So it looks like it's at the mercy of the weather, and there haven't been any proper maintenance going on in there, especially on the buildings, because it's been done, but it's not been handed over to the government because of these challenges. It's not been in operation yet. So it doesn't look like there is any care for the buildings there. But I saw some of the some skeleton staff of the contractor, around the hospital. Unfortunately, they wouldn't speak to us because at the point they hadn't been mandated to speak to us or anything. But it looks like the hospital is not in the top shape, because I've been there on a number of occasions. I know how it looks like, but at the moment, I can say that some of the buildings, the paintings are peeling off gradually. So it's up to the government to ensure that all that is needed for this hospital to be operationalized is done.
And again, yesterday when we agreed on this conversation, I called the presidential advisor on health, that is Dr. Anthony Nsiasari, and we spoke for a while. And he said that he assured me that the facility will be operational before the end of this year. He went on to say to me that the drains have been constructed, like you said, and that the works would start in terms of construction of the road will start. From what you saw, did you see any contractor on site? I just want to be certain. Was there any contractor on site working on the road?
David, are you asking whether there was a contractor on the road itself?
The road, yes.
David, I didn't cite any contractor on the road. I didn't cite any equipment belonging for road construction on the road. So I can emphatically state that there is no contractor on the road. There's no construction work being done on the road.
The skeleton staff that you spoke to, that according to you were at the hospital for the contractors, did they tell you anything about power source? Because again, according to him, work was far advanced to ensure that power was available at the facility.
All right, so David, they will not speak to us on what they were doing, but I saw that there's a section of the hospital that is close to the walls, and there were some equipment that I believe are being used to set up this power source for the hospital. So for that, it looks like there's some work being done on the power source. But for the roads, there's nothing yet on the roads. There's no contractor on the road. There's no construction equipment on the road. But for the power source, I can say some works are being done.
Okay. Now, you engage with, drivers, commercial drivers in the area. They raise their concerns. Do you talk to residents, and how do they feel about the fact that this work has stalled and it's not operational?
David, I engaged with a lot of the residents there. A lot of them were anticipating the operationalization of the hospital in the early part of the year. So if you go to the area, you can see a lot of development springing up. There's a modern trend of apartment construction, and some investors have gone in there and have started constructing high-rise buildings that they believe that they can use for apartments for some of the residents, for some of the staff that will be coming to the hospital. So visibly, you can see that the people within Sewua and its environs are anticipating the operationalization of the hospital, and they believe that it will boost economic activities within the area. Talking to the commercial drivers, they tell me that if this hospital is in operation, it will boost their work they do there, and they are even preparing to vacate their present station and find a conducive area, and operate as taxi drivers and commercial drivers in the area. So you see that visibly. And from the interactions with the people, they are all ready for such a project to be operationalized. But unfortunately, government hasn't shown much commitment to the road being operationalized. One of the men even told me that if government really wanted to see the hospital operationalized, you see the urgency in which some roads within Kumawu and its environs were fixed for the by-election. They are telling me that they also heard stories that as enough government moved equipment to the area to fix these roads for them before the by-election itself. So they believe that if government really want to see the hospital in operation, because they will use same agency to push the contractor come on the road and in a few days fix the roads, because already drains are fixed. A lot of things have been done. So if a contractor should want to fix it in all earnest, it wouldn't take a longer period for this road to be fixed. So the people are not happy about the present situation of the hospital, because a lot of them are banging their hopes, economic hopes, on the operationalization of this hospital.
This road is roughly some 2 kilometers or so. But again, tell us about the state of work, at Trader. By what percentage, how much work has been done at Trader?
So the last time the team visited Trader, the work being done has passed 50%. There's a lot of work being done on the Trader government hospital. That's the symbolic one for the Agenda 111 project. So visibly you can see the individual buildings, the blocks to be used for the hospital, it's on the right. So the work being done at Trader is progressing in earnest, and it looks like there's a lot of eyes on the Agenda 111 project. Government is pushing a lot of resources and ensuring that by close of the year, according to the government team that visited there, at least the buildings should be done. Some equipment should have been brought in to be fixed within the hospital. So it looks like for the Agenda 111 project, since it's one of the babies of this government, they are very, very, very particular about them.
And these equipment, Nane, thank you very much for your time. And these equipments don't come cheap, because, for example, we're told that the Aferi Hospital, the ultramodern oxygen cylinders and medical equipment worth over $38 million are left to rot. They've been abandoned. That's at Aferi, and this is online. If you just Google it up, you can get it. So this Sewua Hospital is supposed to cost some $339 million, dollars.